Good morning. So I promised a video on making cactus molds. There are a couple of ways to do this. One is that you can actually take a cactus leaf and press your silicone into it and get yourself a mold. So like this guy, for example, this I think was a crinkle leaf cactus. And this is the obvious way, right? But I'll show you what the problem with that is. Okay, so here we go. So here's a crinkle leaf, right? So the problem with this is that it becomes a little bit too 3D. So when you're making a functional piece of pottery, this might be a problem because you put a bunch of these on your mug and now all of a sudden your mug weighs 2 pounds. So plus the coffee in it, that may not be something that you want to do. So I'm going to show you how to make a flat mold, a relief mold. Now they sell some of these molds online, and I'm pretty sure at least one of them is actually a reproduction of my original work, but that's okay. I have no secrets and I'm actually going to teach you guys how to make it. So instead of paying $17 or whatever it is that they charge for that piece of silicone, you can just make one yourself and it's going to be a lot cheaper. Now, first and foremost, the silicone that I use, liquid pouring silicone will give you more detail, but for this purpose, I use this guy. This happens to be moldputty.com, amazing mold putty. It's just a putty mold, okay, putty silicone. The reason why I like it is because it's less mess, that's all. There's no other reason. It's just liquid silicone. When you start pouring it, you end up with like the cups and the drips and it's just a mess. This is clean and you can do it right on your workbench and you don't have to worry about like making a box for it or any of that. But so this is how I make the pear cactus, okay? You're going to take a little piece of clay and you're going to flatten it. And then you're going to take your really sharp knife and you're going to cut it into like an oblong oval shape. Okay? Like this. Something like that. And the reason why I'm telling you to cut it and not to just shape it with your fingers is because now you have a very square edge and this is what you want for molding. It's actually really beneficial. It's going to give your mold a nice crisp outline, so it's easier to use. You see a lot of really cheaply made molds online, and I think that the reason why is because they're taking like a toy or something that's already been made and they just press it into the silicone putty. What happens then is it doesn't have a crisp edge, so when you pop it back out, it looks like it's lacking definition, even though it may not actually be lacking definition in the middle, but because the outer edge lacks definition and the whole thing looks like it's lacking definition. So if you do it this way, it's better. And then we're gonna make the needles, right, to go on it. Now, if you want them all to have the same size, which you don't have to, but I like to, because when you look at a cactus, it usually has, like, the needles are not that different from each other. You're going to take a little tiny piece of clay and you're gonna roll it into a little tiny, very skinny little coil. And then you're going to divide this coil into equal pieces like this. And yes, this is tedious. I never said it wasn't tedious. It's gonna be tedious, but you do it once and then you cast it with silicone and then you have it forever. You know, you're only doing this once. All right, so I have some pre-made stuff so that this video doesn't take like 16,000 hours. So you can roll them into bowls just by placing your finger over it and just rolling it right on your desk, right as they fell. And then if they get too dry, they will crumble, so you just discard those. The way you transfer it onto your little leaf is with a brush, because they're too tiny. You're gonna drive yourself crazy if you try to pick those up. I guess you could use tweezers if you had to, but this is easier. So wet your brush and wet your little cactus pear pad. And then what you do is you just touch it to the bowl and now it's stuck on here. And you're gonna place it on your cactus pear leaf. And the one thing I recommend is that you place them in the middle as well as towards the edges, because it's just more natural. Like the one thing when you're making an original, always look at like the actual thing. Like go online and find pictures of cacti, because it's gonna help you make it look more realistic And then, like I said, yes, you're gonna spend an extra couple of minutes making it, or hours or days, but you're only doing it once. So you might as well make it really realistic, and then you cast it, and then you'll have this realistic piece for the rest of your, for a year. They'll last for years, So anyway, so you press them on, like imagine I had like a gazillion of them. And then you take your finger and you just press it in, okay? So I'll show you what I got. See how it has little bumps? So in the end, you're gonna end up, when you have placed all of them, you're gonna end up with something like this that has them all over. And if you wanna get really fancy, you can attach little buds, okay? And it's gonna look like this. So then what you do is you leave it on your desk and you take your silicone. This is, I guess, gonna be a little tutorial on how to make silicone molds too. It's really easy, you guys. This is, I think the reason why they charge so much money for the silicone molds online is just because the cost of the material, even though it's really not that expensive. But if you can, just make your own. Like, honestly, you'll save so much money. So you roll 2 balls, one with yellow and one with white, compound A and compound B, and just place them next to each other and make them the same size. If you have to make an error, try to have the yellow less than the white, because otherwise so the more yellow you have, the softer your final mold is gonna be. I don't really know the science behind this right now on top of my head. I'm sure you can look it up, but white is like the hardening compound. Okay, so same size. You knead them together, and do take your time doing this, because if you have a streak of yellow, when you peel back your original, it's actually going to be mushy and will never set. So make sure that they're thoroughly mixed. I hope you guys can see this. All right, so they're thoroughly mixed, and then all you do is you make a patty like this, and you press it over your original, and you kind of just move it over the edges like this, and you give it a final little pat, and you leave it alone for 20 minutes. That's all you do. Just walk away, go have your coffee. When you come back, you're gonna have a mold that looks like this. Can you see? All right. So like if I don't want to waste your time, but if I peeled this back, I would have a mold like this with a little bud on the side, okay? And then what you can do with this now is you can sprinkle it with a little cornstarch. I like to put it on a brush and just kind of dust the inside. And then you take your clay, and if you press your clay into your new mold, guess what you're gonna get? It's a cactus leaf. And that's all it is. You guys, it's so easy. So this is for the cactus pear, and then some of the other ones that I've done are, I don't know what they're called. I should know. I actually have a little plant nursery, like I should know this, but we don't grow cacti here in Florida too much because most of them don't like the weather. So the other cacti that I like to do are just like those long types. So you would just trace your lines like this. And again, look at how they go on a real cactus to make them more realistic. All right, so something like this. And then what cacti usually have is they have these little like bumps with needles stuck in them. So what you would do for that, and I'll do like the one piece of the cactus so that, again, you guys are not sitting here for an hour just listening to me talk about the weather. All right, so you put dots like this, and then you kind of mess them up with a needle tool. Whoops, stay. If it ever does that, just put more water on and it will stick. All right, and you mess them up here. I'm gonna do it here because I can't see what I'm doing. Yeah, I guess I should have brushed it with a little bit of water before I started. That's a good lesson for you too. To make things stick, just make them wet. All right. And so I'm just literally stabbing the little knots that I made with a needle tool and just making it fuzzy. Okay? Just like that, can you see? And then if you do it on each and every like slice of the cactus, it will actually look realistic. And then what you can do is you can wet your paintbrush and you can go into the grooves and just kind of smooth it out so it doesn't look like you made it with a needle tool. So the grooves, right? Not the needles, but the grooves. I used to have, I don't remember what it was, but I used to have this like angled little piece that would be really, really easy to do this with. Maybe like one of the clay cutting tools would work for this. I'm too lazy. I just do it with a needle tool, but all right. And then you can like, you know, stick a little flower on top of something. Here, let's stick the flower on top. Cactus flowers are pretty easy, but like this. And now you can stick it on now and mold it, or you can stick them on the actual piece, like once you attach the cactus, because then you can put the flower in like different places on the cactus, and then that will give you some variation. So that's my biggest pet peeve with buying molds, is that you lack then variation. So the benefit of being able to make your own mold is that you can make any mold at any time, and you can have different cacti and not just that one thing that they've stuck on a mold. So I really recommend it. I think that it didn't take that long, you know? So from start to finish, if I didn't have the shortcuts, you know, maybe an hour, like not even, like a half an hour. It really doesn't take that long. And then you have your own original that you can alter, and you can make like all different types, and then you can use it for all different things. And I think that it just adds variability to your work. All right, so hopefully that was helpful to you. Really wasn't very complicated of a video. If you have any questions, shoot them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And you guys have a wonderful day. Take care, bye.